Hello there, and welcome to Curitiba for the Automobilista Grand Prix, the final round of Season 2 of Global Formula Automobilista. So, two drivers in touch with the title, able to make it. Sitting on pole, scoring that crucial point is Taki Inoue, currently second in the championship. With that point for pole position, is now 9 points behind his teammate and the closest rival Lewis Hamilton. If Inoue wins the race, and they end up on equal points, Inoue will win on countback. If they end up on equal points but Inoue doesn't win the race, Hamilton will win on countback. Sebastian Vettel is in second. He's the one that's going to kind of play around and mess up the CAS drivers, see what they can do from second. Lewis Hamilton, 9-point championship lead with 20 points available this race. What can he do to take the victory and the championship? Chris Hoy, double race winner, he takes 4th place, VTK Racing. Ahead of Sterling Moss, who's currently 3rd in the championship, winner of the last round in Australia. Where can he get? Can he get on the podium? Rossi is in 6th, ahead of Gilles Villeneuve and Jim Clark. Clark on a massive run of bad luck. Can he finally get back into the points after 6 races out? 4th place championship for Nick Heidfeld, he's in 9th, ahead of Stefan Beloff and Phil Hill. Manuel Fangio, Antonio Felix da Costa scored his first podium last time out. Gasho in 14th, Button 15th, and David Brabham. Alain Prost and Mika Hakkinen. And next with Dan Gurney in 19th, and outgoing champion Max Verstappen in 20th place. Schumacher takes 21st. 4th place in last round, Watson is 22nd. Perez 23rd, Senna 24th. Kobayashi 25th at the back, nowhere near where he started the season on the front row. Flörsch 26th, and then the Jaws rounding out the back in 28th, 29th. Let's hope I can find a better camera angle. It would seem that I can't. So, as we get ready to start the race, yep, I have to deal with this. It's not ideal. 5 lights are on and lights are out, and that looked like a bad start for Hoy compared to everyone else. As Inoue's got the lead, Hamilton's pulled to the left, it's 3 wide down to turn 1. I think Inoue's in the middle. Inoue's in the middle, Hamilton and Inoue side by side. Hamilton spins! Lewis Hamilton spins, we've got chaos, there's a pole start, upside down. Got absolute mayhem in the background. Button stopped, Gasho's rolled, Gurney's kept it going. What's happened there? Bertrand Gasho rolling out of the race. The absolute chaos down at turn 1. There's some bumping and barging in the background. He just gets popped up. Gurney goes up. Gasho bouncing, bumbling. He's over. Whether he can keep it going, I highly doubt and kind of hope that the game means that he can't keep it going. Button's just caught out there. As we'll go on board with Gasho as he goes tumbling and topsy-turvy. He gets a bump from behind, clips the Excelsior, and then he's over. Bang! Big hit. So we'll try and... It was Gurney who sent him over. So Gurney's brake light, so there's contact there with the Falcon that sent Gasho forwards too far. Gurney probably would have got into that space if Gasho hadn't been punted. And then there's the hit. He then hits his teammate, bounces into the curb, and that's what sends Gurney into the air. I think most crucially, we need to find what's happened to Lewis Hamilton. The championship contender. So he's got the inside line here into turn 1 as they all file into the first chicane. And he just loses it as all the chaos happens. He just half spin, rejoins in the middle of the pack. He doesn't seem to have taken much damage, but everybody else has got a load of damage. There's Hack and Watson off track in the background. Well, we'll get back up going. So Inoue's got the lead. Vettel very sideways through turn, I don't know what number it was, 4 I think. Actually turn 5 technically is Rossi up the inside of Chris Hoy into the hairpin. Pushes Hoy wide, and is Clark going to follow through before the turn 9 sweeper? No, he's not. Actually, Hoy's going to try and fight back side by side through the chicane. And Rossi stays ahead. So Gilles Villeneuve has made up 3 places in all of this. Inoue's bad start, somehow he's managed to get away with it all. So Gurney, Button and Gasho all still going. Gasho's managed to obviously land on his wheels and think, that's fine, I can keep going. So Brabham pits, Kobayashi pits and Hakkinen pitting. Florschel and Vance have obviously lost time. And all this is there's 18 cars still going. We've not had any damage yet. And Lewis Hamilton down in 13th. As it stands, Inoue is winning the championship. There's some very sideways looking NLE of Max Verstappen there. He's already up 9 places off his start. Felix da Costa now past Beloff. I think Chris Hoy's lost a load of positions. Yes, he has. Hoy's had a half spin at turn 1. So he's got back past Rossi, clipped the curb and lost the rear. And Phil Hills did the same thing. Beloff cuts the corner, was to add a few of them, cut the corner there. Felix Costa now up past Beloff. Hyde puts up 4 places into 5th place, although Sterling Moss, who was battling for 3rd in the championship, is ahead of him. Let's see how all this pans out. As it stands, Inoue has got just about a second ahead of Vettel in 2nd place. Villeneuve and Moss are sat there, ready to get involved. Heidfeld's next, ahead is Rossi, Clark, and then you've got Beloff. Felix da Costa being chased down by his teammate into turn 1. Hoy thinks about late move. Gets on a curve as Hamilton sideways again. Hamilton very sideways again, and there's contact with the Bangalore. But amazingly, because he wasn't lapping the Bangalore, he hasn't taken any damage. Yeah, who'd have thunk it? So Hamilton now side by side with Perez as he's just dropping further and further away. He's trying to get this championship, he's just allowing his teammate to disappear further up. And points are evaporating as we speak. But Jim Clark has got past Heidfeld in all of this. And Villeneuve chasing up behind Vettel. Can the Canadian get a run on the German into turn 1? Now, one thing to note from the track map is we can already see that 25th to 28th, the pit stoppers are already pretty close to these leaders. So Inoue is going to be lapping people very soon, and this is where it could fall apart and where it could go Hamilton's way. Because of course if Inoue doesn't finish, Hamilton's won the championship. Inoue needs to outscore Hamilton by 9 to 10 points, depending on if he wins or not. Flange up the inside of Chris Hoy into turn 4. Can he hold it through 5? Yes, he can. Phil Hill gets it sideways. They filter it through the hills. Hamilton's stuck in 16th now, trying to fend off Perez. Lance was falling away. He's doing what he can. Flörsch, Gasho, Gasho, Button, Senna and Gurney have caught up to the back of this pack. It's Hakkinen's new front wing, Kobayashi's new front wing, Brabham's new front wing, and Watson. So both 2KF1s languishing at the back again, this time through damage rather than pace. They've finally caught up to the pack in terms of pace, and it's all gone wrong at the first corner. Rossi here under pressure from Jim Clark. You see he pops side by side through turn 4. He gets it through 5. Clark gets a swap on, but just uses it as a tail kick out to hold Rossi back. Rossi now under pressure from Heidfeld. Can Heidfeld get through it in the high tech? I don't know. Not this corner at the moment. Felix da Costa's got past Beloff and starting to pull away. As Chris Hoy is just falling back, it's 9 places he's lost now. They're really not going well for a DTK driver. As Hamilton's even now further back behind Perez. He's back in the factory, so he's had another. So he's tried to get past Schumacher into turn 1, clipped the curb and lost the rear. When it's not your day, it's not your day. And he's got on the next curb as well. So we've got some really aggressive curbs at the first corners to stop people just, shortcutting the circuit, as they should do. And the championship leader is using them as a great opportunity to throw away his title challenge. Inoue very slidey through there. That's allowed Vettel to catch back up to Inoue again. Villeneuve's close, but actually Vettel is now much closer to Inoue than Villeneuve is to him. So Vettel, if we go through turn 6 and 7, braking into 8, is there anything you can do? For the moment, not so much. Sterling Moss flies here through turns 9 and 10, super fast corners. We'll get on board of them later. I'll just go for this camera over the shoulder. Before the Vettel's just set the fastest lap, although saying that Sterling Moss and Clark and then Rossi has done that. Almost under a minute already. These laps are super quick. But Vettel can't quite keep it matched for the first section. Beloff is back up behind Felix da Costa. Boy's 9 places lost hasn't got any bigger. Hamilton, having not had to go side by side with anyone through the first corner, has survived, it seems. Button's caught up to Damon Hill, so he's about to put some pressure on the George GP cars to get past. Actually, first corner we see under braking, Button upper place. Having had his little moment at the first corners, Inoue settled himself down. He's at 105. CA's gone 4/10 quicker than the cars behind him. Not quite fastest lap pace, but it's good enough for the moment. The top 4 just staying as status quo as it is. Well, as it's the last race of the season, it's time to give out the Global Formula Automobilista awards. There are of course a bunch of different awards which have all been voted on. So I think Mansell's dropping back a few places. Yes, Button's tried to get him. Gasher's going to try and go around the outside of Hill. Yes, so all the team managers have been invited to vote for various different categories, which have had a load of different submissions inside them. And thankfully this year we've had 12 submissions, or 12 votes, which is a lot more than we had last year, and therefore gives us a much better result in the end. So thank you for everyone who's voted. And it's time to begin giving out some of the responses. So, I think we'll start with best looking car. And it's obviously a very prestigious award. The rule of every team must have their own unique colours. It's been enforced for 2 seasons now, and it just helps create a visually appealing grid. Every team, you see green, it's Iggy Pop. You see teal and white, it's a high-tech. None of this, oh, is it white and blue? Is it a Bravera? Is it a BRT? Who knows? You didn't choose your colour, you were too slow. Come up with a different one. Have some fun with it. So, votes cast, we had a couple of teams got 1 vote. Those being, I don't know if I just choose this camera. Yeah, so one of the teams getting just the 1 vote was Bravera. Well done to them for getting 1 vote. Another team to get 1 was Red Knight, with all the paint daubs across the back. So congratulations to Red Knight for picking up a vote in that sense. 2 votes went to the way of Excelsior. White team with the big red sashes and the blue stripes on them, and some very strong imagery. Taking 2 votes, so coming voted as the 3rd best livery on the grid. Second place with 3 votes went to Falcon, the black and red machine with the PlayStation imagery on the side and the super strong logos on the team logo. So Falcon came second. As I think up ahead, there might have been a lead change. In fact, there has, as Taki Inoue has spun out at turn 1. Inoue has spun out in turn 1 just before I'm about to give away the thing. And actually, Vettel's got Inoue earlier in the lap. I mean, that is the problem with doing these awards, is that I might miss something. But it's not through turn 1. In fact, it's out of turn 3. Vettel's got a much better launch. Sat in the slipstream and pulls to the inside. And Vettel goes through. We're getting on board with the Harvey. Vettel just up the inside into turn 4, scares Inoue out of the way. Inoue knows he's got the championship. So he lets it happen. He's going to sit behind. He'll run through the final corner, get the slipstream. So he's tried to get back up the inside into turn 1. But, let me guess, as happened with Hamilton, he's taken too much curves, a bit of contact with Vettel. He spins out, gets it going, and forces Heidfeld out of the way. But he survived. Heidfeld and Rossi falling back. And Inoue down to 5th. Now Inoue in 5th. With Hamilton out the points, he's going to score 11 points. So, Hamilton in 17th. As it stands, Inoue is still champion. Where was I? Oh yes. We were talking about liveries. Best liveries on the grid. Well, I might be focusing on the Harvey, but unfortunately, no votes for the team. As our winning team, with 5 votes, is Jaws GP. The shark on the nose, the shark on the engine cover, fitting together with the ocean theme. It's a win. To be honest, the only thing Jaws have won all season. At least the car looks good, eh boys? So there we have it. Global Formula Automobilista delivery of the season is Jaws GP. So Lewis Hamilton in 17th, stuck behind the 2 Bangalores. He's used to going past, but usually lapping them, so no blue flags this time, mate. Prost and Chris Hoy struggling down to 13th again. Fangio 12th. And Hill right on the back of Verstappen, who's caught up to Belloc, who's caught up to Felix da Costa, who's really falling away from Valentino Rossi up ahead. So this train in 8th, I'm down, is getting really close. Rossi's away from Heidfeld, as Inoue's got back on track. Clark's up to 4th, Moss is into the podium. It's Villeneuve sits there, and Vettel has actually got Villeneuve pretty close now. I think that's bad. He's catching up to John Watson and the 2KF1 boys in the early pit stoppers. Now that said, the back markers, now they've got a couple of decent results, have started to get sideways from Vettel, as Villeneuve's actually on the grass. Villeneuve on the grass, and Moss slides through. So a bit of a slide there from Vettel. Villeneuve jumps on the grass to avoid the crash, and Moss slips through, thinking thank you very much. Well, Moss up to 2nd here, Vettel keeps his lead. Villeneuve now is under pressure from Jim Clark. So the point I was making, especially 2KF1, a couple of decent results in the last few rounds have meant they've suddenly been having some windfalls in terms of money and sponsor prizes. So the back marking cars are suddenly starting to catch up to the front, because they've got the high downforce now, and they've got the upgraded engines. The engines pretty much for everyone are nearly maxed out. In fact, it's only Bangalore, Polestar and Jaws that haven't got maximum engines now on the grid, so back markers aren't too slow anymore. It's just the driver skill really that's holding them back, and even then they're not too bad. So his top 4, although they're catching up to your Watson and Brabham and Hakkinen and Kobayashi, these guys aren't that slow. I mean, we'll follow Kobayashi here and see what lap time he does, and compare it to the leaders. So across the line, Kobayashi is going to do 101.7, 101.5, 101.5, 101.5. Vettel in the lead, 101.6, 101.4, 101.3. So, okay, there was a bit of a mistake in all of this. There's Moss thinks about moving Vettel, but not yet. It's all a bit close, and they're not really outdoing the backmarkers to catch them up, so that's the only thing really that's helping them at the moment. But it is allowing everyone else to catch up and stay close. This battle for 8th is still going strong, although when I say going strong, Felix Costa's holding them off pretty perfectly. Fangio and Prost are trying to keep up, but they're struggling. Perez and Schumacher still holding off Hamilton, so Hamilton, with a few spins at the first corner, has obviously destroyed his tyres or something, and just doesn't have the pace or the confidence, so from 3rd on the grid down to 17th. If Inoue stays 5th, Vettel needs to climb a few positions. You know, if Inoue's in 5th, he needs to be 14th. He needs to be 14th, get 2 points, and they're equal on points, and because Inoue hasn't won, he will win on countback, because he's got 3 wins to Inoue's 2. The countback if Inoue wins, and Hamilton comes 5th, Inoue will win the title on countback for number of 3rd places, because they've both got one 2nd place, and Inoue would have 2 thirds to Hamilton's 0. Hamilton's putting the pace up now. He's on the back of Schumacher, so might there be a move soon? I don't know. Chris Horner's fallen behind Prost now, as I think Clark is past Villeneuve. Jim Clark's got past Jules Villeneuve in the last couple of laps. Moss and the sister of Vettel, but he's too far back to make a move at the moment. And they're starting to catch up to the back markers. What can they do so far? Nothing much really. It is worth noting that Valentino Rossi has fallen away from this pack of the top. The top 7 has become the top 6 now. Rossi's in a bit of no man's land. As Felix da Costa is still holding up Beloff, Verstappen, Hill and everything else. Hamilton, who I thought would have made the move past Schumacher into turn 1, hasn't. So he's lost. We're right on board with the championship leader for the rest of this lap, so heading down a little back straight into the turn 9-10 chicane. I mean, I say chicane, it's 2 super high speed sweepers, it's just a little lift for both of them. And it's final corner, turn 11, down to 3rd, but still 120 miles an hour. Floor it down the straight, get in the slipstream, and hope you make a dive bomb into this tricky first corner. So 90 right, the left kink into a hairpin right, onto the second part of the circuit. He's had a really awful time on the exit curve there and fallen well back before this double apex turn 4, which merges into 5. Hit the curb, up the hill through 6, hit the brakes into 7, get it slowed down for turn 8, this hairpin, and back towards turn 9, as the leaders have finally caught up to the back markers. Vettel is staring at Mika Häkkinen in 27th place because John Watson has gone to the back of the lot of them. Oh, that's close. What's Moss going to do with Häkkinen? Is it going to catch him in a good place or a terrible place? As it stands, Vettel has got past Häkkinen already handily. Actually, Häkkinen fights back into turn 4. I don't know why. Clark drifting it through 5. And Moss now trying to work out where he can get past Häkkinen in a way that doesn't let Clark through as well. Häkkinen pulls to the inside before turn 9. Is that the right tactic? It's not worked. Hakkinen gets out of the way through 10. Clark sits behind. Yes, Moss is also through. As Inoue here is trying to capitalise round the outside of Gilles Villeneuve at the final corner, but he's going to get blocked by Hakkinen. Hakkinen slows down. Inoue gets caught and Heidfeld goes through. So Inoue loses another place. He gets boxed in, and actually Valentino Rossi is going to try and join in. So Inoue is still stuck behind Hakkinen in turn 1. So Rossi's now got the two TKF1s in the way. Watson gets past Hakkinen. No, Inoue stays 6th. So Inoue down to 6th. How does that change it? Because he's now got the 10 points. And with Hamilton still scoring nothing, Hamilton now needs to get into 15th if he wants to win the championship. If Inoue stays 6th till the end of the race. But Vettel has now got a few more cars to lap. So David Brabham is the next driver who's going to try and get out of the way. Not through there, it seems. Moves wide for the final corner. A sensible place to let a driver through. Moss has fallen back in the process. It's Clark, Villeneuve, now Heidfeld, and then Inoue and Rossi sat behind the two TKF1s who are scrapping so much they're not able to let the Ziggy Pop driver through. Look at that, a 103 for Valentino Rossi last lap. Watson goes wide to let Hakkinen through, and then lets Rossi for Rossi kick of oversteer, show his displeasure in all of this. And it's his back markers are going to have fun for Felix da Costa. As Hamilton spun again! Lewis Hamilton has spun at turn 1 for, I think it's like the 4th time now. His composure has been dreadful, so he's finally caught up to Schumacher. He's far back and he thinks about a move into the first corner. He gets it done, but then hits the curb and he's gone round again. The Brit in the Cas car has had an absolute torrid time as he's lost it on the next curb again, almost been run into by Dan Gurney. As Hamilton slips back to 20th place, he's just handing the title to Inoue if he can keep it going here. It's ridiculous. Vettel has now got past Kobayashi, so he now has a lot of clear up into 24th place. So Vettel can now disappear off into the distance. Sterling Moss doing what he can to keep up, although he's got to catch up to Kobayashi and get past him. Clark is trying to keep up, and so is Villeneuve. Heidfeld's just fallen back from the pack a little bit. Inoue's there, and Rossi now fighting to get past Hakkinen, who does not want to give up the position. Mika Hakkinen not driving brilliantly there. It's now Felix da Costa still holding up Beloff, Verstappen and Hill. Button's up to 17th after his first lap incident. Fletcher hit Hamilton down to 19th. Sounds like he's got through the first corner without spinning and making an overtake on Dan Gurney. And it's Damon Hill in 24th, is quite a long way ahead of Sebastian Vettel on the track. So, got a while before that's a lapping that occurs. Villeneuve now trying to put a move on Kobayashi. First corner, gets past the high tech relatively painlessly. That 22 of 84, and let's get on with the next. Let's get on with the next award. So, next on the list was the best race of the season. Now, of course, it seems a bit premature to do it before one's over, but let's be honest, unless championship changes hands out 7 times in the last 7 laps, this probably isn't going to be the race. Curitiba isn't exactly the best circuit, but it's good fun, and we've had some interesting stuff so far, but nothing quite the levels of some of the other races this season. So, I mean, the Automobilista Grand Prix did get 1 vote, a bit of a troll vote, but it did. So, whoever voted that, screw you. The Argentinian Grand Prix, Second race of the season, won by Chris Hoy, sorry. The High-Techs had chances to win the race, but Kobayashi got stuck in gear. There were some crashes, there were some brake failures, there was some decent overtaking, and Chris Hoy came out a surprising winner. That got one vote. Another vote went to the Canadian Grand Prix. One I don't really remember because I was falling asleep for completely unrelated reasons to the excitingness of the race. I think that was the 70th anniversary Grand Prix weekend. Yeah, I was quite tired. It got fast forwarded, but chaos happened and somebody won. Who won actually? Canada. Inoue won from Hamilton and Benoff in third, Villeneuve fourth. So Cass and Brevera did quite well, and there were some big crashes. I know that. Well, it got one vote. 4 votes went to the Australian Grand Prix, the previous race of the season. Yeah, that was a brilliant race. It was chaos. It was mental. Retirements aplenty. And a new winner in Sterling Moss. But taking 5 votes, taking the win, my vote included, best race of the season, as Moss gets a little bit sideways to turn 5, was of course the Japanese Grand Prix from Okayama. An absolutely scintillating and crazy race. Big pile up at the start, back marks getting in the way, cars crashing left, right and centre. You had Valentino Rossi rolling and continuing, a bit like Bertrand Gachot in this race. You had a mess in the pit lane entry that took out a load of drivers for the lead of the race. You had the Cass Racing drivers starting at the back of the grid, battling their way up to the front, and then through phantom pit stops and engine blowouts ending up not winning the race. And then Chris Hoy ended up winning, Alain Prost in second, scoring first podium Falcon. Gilles Villeneuve took third, and it was Dan Gurney in fourth for Excelsior's best ever result. And yeah, it was just one of those races that you'll watch back in a few years and go, yeah, that was a good one. So yes, Japanese Grand Prix, taking home race of the season. So well done to Okayama. Mika Hakkinen here trying to get out of the way of Sophia Flörsch, long way behind John Watson, David Bradman and Kobayashi. Hill is still going, with the leaders catching up, so the Jaws have fallen so far behind everyone else. They're so down on power and grip and everything. It's almost like the team have been abandoned at about midpoint of the season. So, having dealt with all those back markers, Felix da Costa is still sat in 8th place, having caught up to Valentino Rossi, who still can't get past John Watson. So, having said all those back markers, really they've just passed Mika Hakkinen. Felix Costa still got Bell off there, but there's a gap formed to Verstappen and Fangio. Prost and Hoy sitting there, and the 2 Bangalores in the points as it stands on pace. So finally finding some mid-tier pace rather than backmarker pace in the last race of the season. Inoue in 6th, the championship watch. It's still Inoue's to lose as it stands, with Hamilton down in 19th. And if Hamilton stays at the points, Inoue just needs to finish 6th. Actually, yes, Inoue needs to be, he can't fall any lower. But he does have 6 seconds to Rossi, who still cannot get past that blasted 2k F1. He's lifted off. Why are you lifting? The blue flags are getting him out the way. Why have you lifted Valentino, you idiot? Because in all of this, it's Kobayashi and Brabham are still between them and Inoue. So they need to get their skates on as Rossi, as Watson gets a big slide through 5. Come on, Valentino, this is your chance. Send it up the inside into turn 8. But you're not going to, are you? Well, Rossi is just ruining his race. Beloff getting an awful lot of understeer and having to chuck on the lock to make it round the corner. in his relentless pursuit of Antonio Felix da Costa. Trying his best. Out front, Vettel's got a 1.5 second lead now over Sterling Moss. He's got Jim Clark right behind. So the battle for second is what it is at the moment. His first and fourth are kind of not there. Clark sending it to the inside into turn 4. He's got the inside line for turn 4. He's got the inside line for 5. Jim Clark up to second place. That's a good move, getting past Sterling Moss. I'll go on board to watch this. So Moss got a little bit loose on the exit curb. Clark's got the slipstream, sees the inside line, just brakes later, turns in. And that's it, he's got the line. Clark up into second. And now what can he do about catching up to Sebastian Vettel? Whoa, I think Rossi might have almost spun there through turn 4. And it's let Felix da Costa catch up. So Jim Clark, can he catch up to Vettel and get past him? Both teams in Harvey and Siggy-Pop looking for their first win of the season. There are a couple of teams actually who still to win a race. We've had Cass Racing had 5 wins, High Tech have had 2, Red Knight have had 1 and DTK have had 2. Actually second and third place in the Drivers' Championships, Rivera and Polestar, they haven't won a race. It's first, 4th, 6th and 8th. 8th place in the championship have 2 wins in DTK. Because they've basically had super results, or Chris Hoy is retired, and they've had no results. So, there's Felix da Costa, it's a massive swapper on. And Belov wasn't close enough to capitalise, but it has allowed Rossi to disappear a bit up ahead. Inoue is still chasing Heidfeld. He knows that he can win the championship as it is, and with Rossi so far back he's safe, but perhaps he's just trying not to have a spin like Hamilton has. As we're at lap 31 out of 84, I would not be surprised if we start seeing a few fuel warnings. We're probably getting close to the first pit window. It's down to just flip through everyone. Actually, that was Belov was having a go at Felix da Costa into turn 1. Felix has stayed wide and allowed Belov to take all the curbs he wanted. Belov hasn't done a Hamilton and spun on every single curb he touched. And he's made it. He's made it through the corners. They're all sliding. Tyres are definitely starting to fall apart now. As Verstappen here going to try around the outside of turn 7 and the outside of 8. Belov just forces him wide. But in all this, it's allowed Felix da Costa to just gap Belov as we go through 9 and 10. I say that, but Felix has obviously had a terrible corner there. And Belov is right on him again. Belov has the run. It's behind Felix da Costa as we run down into turn 1. He's lifted as he pulled out the straight. I don't know why he's done that. I don't know why he would have done that unless he just doesn't want to be on the curbs. As Chris Hoy is under pressure here from Alain Prost. But he keeps 12th place. There we go, so Perez in 14th is our first driver to get a fuel warning. Felix da Costa, Inoue, Heidfeld, a lot of them are starting to get their fuel warning, so expect to see a couple of these drivers start to come in next lap. Clark got his warning the latest, so he might be able to eke out another lap. We'll just have to see what happens. These four shouldn't have the fuel warning for a while. They made their pit stop a little bit later, should get an extra few laps of fuel in their car. Hamilton stuck in 19th, stuck behind Flesch. He needs to get in the pit stop as soon as he can, try and undercut, get some clean air, and put the pace that put him at the front of the grid. You don't start third by being crap. As Chris Hoy now is putting pressure on Fangio. As Verstappen has fallen away from Beloff, who's really chasing Felix da Costa. He wants that place. Felix is coming in this lap as Inoue and Hartfeld and Villeneuve and Moss and Clark and Vettel. So the top 6 are all pitting this lap. So I'm racing the pit boxes as Vettel runs a bit fine. They're all fine through the corner. First corner at least. The top 6 all pitting together. Hit that pit limiter. And the pit boxes we go. So there we go. Vettel, Moss, Villeneuve, Clark, Heidfeld. Inoue is going to take the lead temporarily. Now Vettel's got going again. There's Valentino Rossi now is in the lead, and he should pit the endless lap if he's going to. Beloff is also pitting that in the endless lap. Fangio too, as is Chris Hoy. Hoy at the inside of Fangio, I'm guessing. No, he's lifted off and decided not to send it. Schumacher and Phil Hill battling into turn 1. Hill gets a lot of curb. Uses the curb to really grip it round the corner. Get the exit onto the back straight. Nothing here at the inside. Hill passes Schumacher into 4, keeps it going through 5. Hill up into 5th place. So Vettel's exiting the lead. Clark 2nd. Flörsch needs to pit and she's ahead of Moss, so Moss is losing out time. Dan Gurney has got ahead of Villeneuve, which is losing Villeneuve even more time. Heidfeld has got Hakkinen in the way. And Inoue sat there in 15th. So Felix da Costa come out in 17th, ahead of Max Verstappen. Lewis Hamilton's pitted down into 22nd place. There we go. So Vettel retakes the lead of the race as everyone else is ahead of him pits. Clark's in 2nd, Moss 3rd, Villeneuve 4th, Heidfeld 5th, and Inoue having a go at here. He's got Hakkinen in the way. Inoue's lost the rear. Inoue, big double slide as Hakkinen spins, and Inoue's crashed into Mika Hakkinen. Taki Inoue, could this be the moment that decides the championship? Hakkinen spins, trying to let Heidfeld and Inoue through. And Inoue just drives into the side of Hakkinen. So Hakkinen's there up ahead of him. Inoue's got a great run on Heidfeld out the slipstream. Brakes up the inside. He's lost it on the curb, he's saved it. Hakkinen gets spun by Heidfeld. And Inoue doesn't really have anything he can do. So Hakkinen's on the curb, doing what he can. Heidfeld taps Hakkinen. Hakkinen spins round sideways. Inoue's on the curb, he's turning. He's basically got to choose, do I hit 2KF1 or do I send it back into the tyres? He chooses to hit back marker. And Inoue's lost his front wing, now he's sideways and Hakkinen almost pushes him off. Rossi's going to inherit these positions, but Inoue now, it's first lap after his pit stop as well, so he's definitely got to do another stop after this one. He can't turn this into an alternate strategy. Where, oh where, is Inoue going to exit the pits? Hakkinen now in last place is trying to get back past, and he just can't. Inoue's just blocking him without his front wing. Rossi's going to go flying past, up into 6th place. And he does, and Inoue's 7th place, so he's pits. There's a massive gap now between Heidfeld and Rossi, but this massive pack, Felix da Costa, down to Chris Hoy, are all flown past. Phil Hill through, and I think even Lewis Hamilton may have got past Taki Inoue. So, oh, what's going on? Such a long pit stop for Taki. Oh, it's just horrible to see. So he's going to exit the pits in 22nd, and he's 10 seconds off Senna in the 21st place. He is so far behind. Inoue needs some serious squeaky bum time and chaos up ahead, because he hasn't got a chance otherwise. That could be championship over because he needs a 6th place. Even if Hamilton retires, if Hamilton crashes into the wall right now, Inoue's got such a difficult task. He needs to score 10 points, which would be 6th place, which he was in, but he's not anymore. So, time for a terrible segue. Seeing as that was a severely unlucky moment for Inoue that might have decided the championship, I think it's time we give away the award for unluckiest moment of the season. That'd be up there, what we've just seen, but it's worse. So, various bunch of things were up in the chat and in the voting. As Vettel goes past, there's a lap of Nigel Mansell. So somebody pointed out one of the options that wasn't there in the other field. Jenson Button, his phantom pit stop at Japan meant he pitted from about 4th place in the Japanese Grand Prix on the very last lap, and his pit box was before the start line. I mean, he lost about 7 places on the last lap, about 200 yards from the finish line. A bit like Flörsch lost to John Watson in Adelaide. That was an unlucky moment, certainly. There was a vote for literally any driver who ran out of fuel. Running out of fuel, I've done what I can to try and fix it. They were doing it by default. I made some changes to the fuel consumption and to the fuel tank size, and I did what I could, and in the end, nothing I did worked. In the end, I just went, it's just going to have to be a feature of this season, but it's a reliability issue that can hit anyone. And yeah, it sucks. It's sad. It's annoying. I know, but it's racing. It's racing, dude. I mean, we've seen Gasho roll out of this race and it's still going, so you gotta have something that takes them out of the race. We got one vote for the American Grand Prix when a couple of laps from the end of the race, while sitting in the points position, Mika Hakkinen was creamed out of the race by Phil Hill into turn 6 and stuck in all. That was a big one. 2 votes went to the British Grand Prix when Valentino Rossi had dominated the entire race. He'd done fantastically, and his engine blew up with about 3 laps to go, and there was nothing anybody could do, and he was out of the race. So 2 votes for that. Bit of sympathy. Bit more sympathy though went with 3 votes for as Vettel gets sideways and Clark closes right up to the back of the lead. Clark could make the move soon, actually. Yeah, 3 votes went for the unlucky driver for this race, Taki Inoue, who had battled up from last on the grid to the lead in Japan, his home race, and with about 5 laps to go his engine gave up. Tragic scenes, as yeah, that could have been the moment that's meant that crash with Hakkinen is title deciding. But getting 4 votes for the unluckiest moment of the season. Hang on. No, Clark has not made the move this lap. A moment that completely changed the complexion of the battle, especially for 2nd and 3rd place in the championship, and handed it all to Cass Racing. One of the most mental scenes I've ever seen in one of these races. The unluckiest moment of the season was the leader pile-up in the pit lane at Japan. When Nick Heidfeld ran wide into the pit lane, Sterling Moss crashed into him, and then Jenson Button joined in, and then Felix da Costa just rammed his way through the lot. It was a moment, and well, it wins unluckiest moment of the season, so well done to everybody who got ruined by that crash, I suppose. I'll head back to the front because Vettel is having to defend here from Clark. Clark is right on the tail of Harvey. I'm just going to check because I can't remember if Siggy Pop won a race last season. Clark is super close. He's going to have a think about it into turn 4. Not this lap. Both of them get a bit of curb and get it a bit sideways. No, they're good. So yes, Harvey of course got 5 wins last season. Siggy Pop, they've just got 2 podiums. Second and a third last season. And of course, as discussed in that unluckiest moment, Valentino Rossi, so close taking their first win at Donington Park until he blew up. They've had 3 third places this season. Can Siggy Pop make it all the way to the top step of the podium? And it's certainly looking good. It's close, 4 tenths now. As Clark's, it seems like turn 4 is more likely to be the place where Clark makes the move on Vettel and into turn 1. They're all being a bit cautious through there. We have a front wing, which if I just pause and go on board with high valve, that says Matador. That is a Falcon front wing. So it's Beloff, Prost and Hamilton all coming in. Yes, Hamilton's lost his front wing, so there's been a bit of a mess up here. So Kobayashi, oh no, it's a mess while trying to lap Kobayashi. I know Beloff has already lost his front wing somewhere. Not even turn 1. So, right, so yes, no, so it is Kobayashi. So, Beloff, big contact with turn 10. Lost it on Kobayashi, it was too late to get it into the pits. Prost is fighting button here. You get some sound effects with it, super speed. So Beloff is trying to let him run through. Kobayashi is trying to get past Beloff and let him run here through. Prost hits Kobayashi. Hamilton then hits Kobayashi. Both use their front wings. Kobayashi's now lost his rear wing. So yeah, the second up to 18th. So Hamilton's now made a second stop. So this does at least get Inoue back past Hamilton, but he's now stuck in 19th place. And because of all the other cars are catching up to the pace of the Cass Racing car, they're not going to have the pace to get back up. So they're definitely the quickest cars on the grid, and the quickest drivers, but not quick enough, I don't think. So Beloff exits the pits ahead of Prost, and Hamilton, who's having to get out of the way of Valentino Rossi. Damon Hill is also about to get lapped by Rossi, and does so. Brown was 23rd, with Prost exiting the pits in 22nd, and Beloff down 21st. So Perez is now still back in the points, and Gurney's up in there. Schumacher, Button's up into the points. Phil Hill's 11th, as Chris Hoy is now battling Fangio for 9th. Staff up to 8th, and Felix da Costa been released in 7th. He's got clear air now that Beloff is out of his way. And Rossi has just lapped an absolute pack of pain for Hamilton to be stuck in. Heidford's fallen away from the Villeneuve-Moss battle. Clark is still there with Vettel. As we're over half distance now. First I've noticed it, so 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we've still got 3 more awards to give away. As Jim Clark finally at the inside of turn 4. Jim Clark takes the lead from Vettel. I said that's the straight where he's going to make the move. And he's done it. He's found the gap and he's squeezed his way past. Harvey down to 2nd, and the Siggy Pop takes the lead. Clark has had no luck since his podium at the French Grand Prix. So many close calls, so many retirements. Clark takes the lead. Can he hold it for the next 40 laps though? That is the question. He's definitely got the pace over Vettel. And he was up for 8 from the grid, so it's a great drive from Jim Clark. Verstappen's up 12 though, that's a bit more impressive. We've got Schumacher up 8, Perez up 8, Flourish up 10. That's not too bad anyway, down 18, that's not great. Mansell up 7, although that's just profiting on everyone else crashing. Yeah, Verstappen the biggest mover then. Let's get another reward out of the way, why don't we? So, having done our luckiest moment, right, let's go for a more light-hearted one. The biggest meme of the season. What's been the most hilarious, recurring thing that's been happening, or funny stuff that's just kind of not necessarily racing and just comedy factor. I mean, you know what a meme is. So, lots of different things. We've got votes. So we've got the sheer amount of front wing damage being caused by Bangalore drivers being lapped. Now, it has been a bit of a theme this season that, unfortunately, the poor Bangalore drivers of Sergio Perez and Michael Schumacher have been perennial backmarkers, and during their time they've been lapped a lot, and during their time being lapped they've been hit a lot, and the bills caused by Bangalore drivers being hit by other drivers have been quite big. So, bit of a meme, and there you go. Going up to our race leader, Jim Clark, he was doing quite well at Road America until a spring of bad luck in the last few laps dropped him down the positions, and then his engine blew up with about a lap and a half to go. So, last lap at Road America, screwed up their manager again. Manolis, for those who don't know, during Formula FG times, he was going to win the American Grand Prix at Road America until I think his engine blew up or something at the final corner, where he slid off in the rain, or something happened and he ended up crashing, and Jack Hunsley in DTK Racing, from like second last on the grid, won the race. It was a mental race. I mean, I think it's season 2 Formula FG, United States Grand Prix. Go and watch it, it's brilliant. That is one of the more classic races they ever did. And yes, that lack of luck from Manolis bit him here. We then have to go back for another vote. Went to Sterling, sorry, I mean Sebastian Moss, chucking it off the track at the Sachs corner at Hockenheim. Just out of nowhere, he was in second place and he just crashed there for no reason. I've got a vote. 2 votes go for my commentary in the last round, where Jenson Button inherited second place in the last lap with a bunch of retirements, and as the camera flicked to him, he was missing a front wing. And as the replays showed, I correctly surmised that, but I think the Larvas Button will take second. Oh no, he doesn't have a front wing because he had to lap Schumacher. So it kind of ties in with the whole Bangalore drivers being backmarker death traps. There are 2 votes for, as previously stated, the sleepy commentary done in Canada, where the race had to be fast forwarded because I didn't have the attention span to survive another hour and a half of talking or paying attention. That wasn't the greatest race in terms of me doing that, but taking biggest meme of the season is actually something that's already taken an award. That would be the leader pile up at Okayama. It's Taki Inoue here making a move for 18th place. It's not going to win him championship, but it brings him, it's now 12 places rather than 13 places off the championship winning position it needs to be in. But yep, the leader pile up in the pit lane at Okayama. Not only is it unluckiest moment of the season, it's also meme of the season, because as unlucky as it was also absolutely hilarious to see that really, it's the only way to describe it. It was that, the thing that you're going to remember from this season for a long time. Is that time when all the leaders just came into the pits and crashed. So yeah, biggest meeting of the season. We have 2 more awards, which we'll give away pretty soon. Let's get some, because of course, with this being the final race of the season, it's also the final time we're going to see this Formula V12 mod in its full glory. Let's choose a nice angle. No, there ain't many good angles. And we still have 28 cars still running, so it's a chance to appreciate them all. Let's go to this one, which we used for the first lap. So yeah, here's the Siggy Pop, Jim Clark, green and yellow. Lovely integration of the Greek flag on the engine cover. This one was painted by me. We then have the Harvey. For those of you who don't know, it's based on Dick Dastardly's car from Wacky Racers. I will just check. I think it's called the Mean Machine. I think it's called the Mean Machine, but yes, it is the Mean Machine. That's the name of the car. Those of you who know the cartoon will know exactly what this car looks like. If you don't, have a quick Google, and then you'll see that this is a pretty faithful recreation of that car. As Vettel is piloted it in second place. Sterling Moss for Red Knight. Went for once again a much brighter red. A bit less scarlet and a bit kind of brighter red for this year compared to last year. With some black and white paint daubs on the back engine cover, making the car look pretty stunning. The Bravera kept along with the old 80s Brabham livery. As usual, Villeneuve piloting it here with the Parmalat all the way up down the side. See what they do for next season. High Tech, they won best livery last season, kept the livery for this season, and didn't get any votes. Who would thunk it? They were just best liveries this year. The Harvey was painted by me. The Red Knight, I think, was painted by Leslie. The Bavera was painted by Meth himself, Fiona, and the High Tech was also a Leslie design. Rossi here in the other Siggy Pop, he takes 6th. And then DTK Racing, yellow, black and gold with prequel memes on it, of course. Obviously that's painted by me. Why would I let somebody else paint my livery when I'm painting onto other people's cars? Stappen, I gotta say, NLE Motorsport, it's a shame that the defending champions have had such a terrible season, because that car was really, really good looking, and they've just not been able to show it off. The other Red Knight for Fangio, here's the Excelsior, which got a vote, well, a couple of votes actually for, I think it came 3rd in the list, sorry, best livery of the season. So white with the kind of off-centre sashes of red and blue, pretty different way of presenting the colours actually, and it works quite well. That one was painted by Leslie as well. The other DTK, the other Harley, the Bangalore, this was also a Leslie creation, I think. It was basically based on their design last year, which I thought should have won best livery, but it didn't, so it came 2nd. But yeah, the Bangalore might have been at the back, but damn does it look beautiful. The other Excelsior, the other Bangalore, here's the other NLE, obviously with flourish on the side and the German flag instead of the Dutch flag, making it stand out. Thank you Wall for completely hiding it. Bertrand Casho in the dented roll hoop of the Polestar. I think it's a shame Polestar didn't pick up any votes, because the bright pink and blue is done really well, and it looks like a 90s Formula 1 livery the most. Out of all the cars in the grid, this is the most 90s of them all. So I've got to give you bonus points for that, even if the pink is quite garish. But again, it's unique and it's perfect, because you know when it's a Polestar and it stands out, and that's what you want in the livery. Cass went for a completely different direction of their livery this year, having been green and white last year. They went for a yellow and maroon, the Red Bull livery. Yeah, it's nice to see Red Bull liveries on a car that's not like dark blue or something. This is a Leslie creation as well, and I think it looks brilliant as well. It's a well thought out, clean and simple design that is spectacular and uses the one sponsor to perfection. The Falcon, I think it came second this year. Oh yeah, there's a good reason. It's made by Mark himself. And yeah, they've got a formula down to T black with red lines everywhere and white sponsors all over. Yeah, that's Falcon, 19th. There's Beloff and the other Bravera, the other Falcon, the other Cass, the other Polestar with the roll hoop actually in place this time. 2KF1, last livery added to the grid at the very last moment. Luckily they managed to avoid taking the punishment livery. No, orange and grey with a bit of black, that's the 2KF1 colours. Integrated pretty well on the car. I think it's goodbye to the orange for next year as they're going more silver and black, especially for the next season. And then of course we finish off with George GP, who won best livery of the season. The shark nose, the shark in the teeth and the gills, the shark fin on the engine, tied up with the watercolours. It really is a beautiful design. It won livery of the season. I'm quite glad it did because I painted it. Oh, there's contact there with Mansell who was getting out of the way. Oh yeah, this is the commentator's car, the one that I've used to make this race actually happen. I always crash it on the formation lap so it doesn't get in the way. Yeah, it's just a Spectrum, so it doesn't clash with anyone, it just clashes with everyone instead. So, coming out of all this, Jim Clark leading by 2.6 seconds. Sebastian Vettel has got 2.2 seconds to Sterling Moss, who rounds out the podium. Villeneuve and Heidfeld are sat there right behind Moss, so there's a third that might develop at some point. But it's calm at the moment. It's probably going to really be around the pit window when this is a thing, or the next back markers. Rossi's up to 6th with a lap on Hamilton. Felix da Costa's in 7th, miles away from everyone really. He's got 2 back markers between him and Verstappen, so that seems pretty safe. Fangio's in 9th with Hill in 10th. Chris Hoy in 11th place. That might see where he can get up to. He started 4th on the grid and it's been backwards since then. Button up to 12th after having stopped on the run off for the first lap. Schumacher up to 13th, Dan Gurney 14th and Perez 15th. So Bangalore still got 2 cars in the points. Schumacher defends from Gurney into the first corner. Flash is 16th, Gash is 17th, Inoue in 18th. It's not looking good for this title at all, is it? I mean, there's not many laps to go. And he's 18th. He's got to find 12 places. That's not happening. It just isn't happening. And it's looking like a bit of a whimper for the title battle with title rivals in 18th and 22nd, laps down. But I don't think Hamilton will care because a title is a title, and Cass have already wrapped up the Constructors' Championship, so yeah, who needs anything? Felix da Costa's got past Rossi. I think Rossi's out of the race. Valentino Rossi is becoming our first retirement to the race here, as it looks like into turn 4 his engine's blown up. So he hits the brakes. Oh, he's pulled off, and yep, telltale sign. So Siggy Pop, who were, well, they were in a battle for, they could have got second here. one of the engines is out, and now they're at risk of falling back behind Red Knight and Harvey. And I say that, one of them was winning the race. But that's not what their team needed. Rossi was going to score them some solid points. There's about 1 million permutations, and I can't be bothered to work them all out. And I mean, it's going to take a mess in Excel to work out adding everything and changing positions. We're just going to have to accept that I'm not going to know who's finished second in the championship unless it's blindingly obvious. I don't think it's going to be Polestar. They're currently third, and their best driver's in 16th place. It ain't going to be them. They're probably going to overtake by High Tech, just need 1 point to get past. Siggy Bob, who just need 6. Red Knight. So Polestar are currently third in the championship, and realistically, if it ends up like this, could fall all the way to 7th or even 8th if DTK scored a load of points. No, DTK have got, what, 6th and 10th, they're not getting enough, but Polestar at risk of dropping from 3rd to 7th here in the last race of the season. That would be a shocker. Yeah, because the battle for second, you get second and third in the championship, we get a bit of a bigger bonus going into next season. So you want to do it if you can. Hacker's got big dent in the side for his contact in Inoue. I think Lewis Hamilton might be buying that side pod off as a nice memento of the damage that won me the championship. Watson's up to 23rd. And survived all the messes. Hamilton's up to 21st now. The wonders of squeaky bum time has happened. Inoue is now still not in the points. In 17th place. Although Gasho in 16th and 3rd, he can see points now. You can even see up to 13th, maybe even 12th. I mean, if he goes on the curb and lifts off like that again, it's not going to go well. Time for the sat here is actually Villeneuve has got past Sterling Moss. Oh, it's happened previously, and I didn't notice I was doing other things. Well, that's fun. It seems to be the traditional move up the inside of turn 4. Moss just unable to fight it around the outside. So Villeneuve onto the podium. That's going to give Rivera more points. That could be the thing, although Beloff is out the points. It could be what Rivera need to fend off any impact from Siggy Pop, or High Tech, or the other teams basically. Rivera have got 11 points over Polestar, and therefore 12 over High Tech. So I think Villeneuve's high position like this should secure second place in the championship for Rivera. But we'll just have to see later. Hackner and Hill getting out of the way of the tail. It takes a lot of curb to do it. It allows Clark to escape a bit further up the way. So Inoue has got past Gasho. He's now chasing Flörsch to get that final point. Taking that extra bonus point for pole position is certainly helping Taki here. But he knows he has to go wake up. Sorry, 10 places, not 11. In 20 laps. That's completely doable, obviously. Even though 6th place is... oh no, is that the hairpin? It's just, that's, you know, probably about 20-30 seconds up the road. And it's 30... yeah, 24 seconds, 24 seconds and 10 places you've got to make up, so that's second and a bit per lap, including overtakes, is what Inoue needs to do. But they've ought to pit again. They ought to pit again, and that's probably going to be soonish. And get ready for those fuel lights to start lighting up. There is of course a tight scrap down the bottom between Falcon and Excelsior, so he's going to get 10th place in the championship and therefore avoid the enigma of ending up in the bottom 5 or like 11th or lower, getting very little prize money, even if there's not much in the first place anyway. You just want to finish in the top 10 of the 15 constructors. Jaws and Bangalore would sorely love. Jaws need 2 points, Bangalore need 7 points, so they can jump Bad Ray Motorsport, who took part in 3 races and scored points in 2 of them, and to this day are still ahead of Jaws and Bangalore. So both those teams would love to make up a position there. But there we go. Jim Clark, race leader, just gets his fuel warning. Tell gets one, Villeneuve not yet, but Moss has got one, Heidfeld hasn't yet, he puts a lap on Hackman. Chris Hoy's got past Fangio. So yes, start looking out, because the leaders are going to be coming in soon. Their pit stops. Slapping to low. Yes, and Villeneuve's also starting to see that his fuel level is going down. Around the final corner, will Clark decide to call and say I'm coming in this lap? He probably should do. He'd be stupid to not to. Clark will pick this lap. Vettel will pick this lap. Villeneuve also coming in this lap. Moss and Heidfeld in this lap. So top 5, all going to make a pit stop together. 6th place Felix Acosta is half a minute off the lead. Verstappen close behind, and Phil Hill even closer to Verstappen. As next to the final corner, can Hill make an impact into the first corner? Hopefully not literally. Yes, Phil gets called in, and though Phil Hill gets sideways and Chris Hoy almost clips Excelsior, they just get through, so Hoy up to 8th after that and Hill down to 10th. Clark makes it into the pits, Vettel makes it into the pits, as does Villeneuve, as does Moss, as does Heidfeld. They haven't done a Japan. Unluckiest and mean moment of the season has not reoccurred here at Curitiba. They're all making their way out, so Vettel's going to exit the pits. Is he going to still keep the lead over Felix da Costa? No, he's not, because he's pitting. All Verstappen is. Chris Hoy is the first driver who's not going to pit. I don't think he's going to even get ahead of Vettel into turn 1. He's got past Sterling Moss. Moss is going to join right ahead of his teammate Fangio. Now Vettel has jumped Clark in all this. Yeah, so Clark was first to stop. Vettel got going. And he's up ahead of Jim Clark. So Harvey is 1 out in the pit stop window. And now it's in the 17 race sprint to the finish. No back markers for a bit. Can Clark clutch and pass Vettel? That's going to be our main talking point for the end of this race, because the championship is pretty much over, I think. If there's no pass into turn 1 this lap, I think we will do the final 2, or we'll get on with one of the final 2 votes and awards. Clark is close, it's 4/10, but it's not this lap either. These two have now got 4 seconds over Gilles Villeneuve, 7 over Moss, and another one over Heidfeld. Felix da Costa seems to have disappeared. As the yellow flag. No, he's 12th. The yellow flag for someone is Sergio Perez. No, Perez was running in the points and he's pulled off. So perhaps that's engine related. Oh no, it's just turned off. It's just turned off on him. So that is Perez out the race. Comes a second DNF. So Hamilton is now 17th. Taki Inoue is 7th but about to pit. I think the push was 8th and those guys got to pit out of his way. Heidfeld Moss gets a bit of a grassy moment. Villeneuve in a bit of no man's land. Clark now, what can he do with Vettel? Not much at the moment, but his back marker's turning up. This is where Vettel's going to struggle. Or he's going to hope he can deal with them. The Hadley. Fleurs gets out of Vettel's way, and then Clark's way. As they head into turn 4. No, I think we're fine for the moment. So, one of the other votes was for drive of the season, for the best, drive of the season in a race, from bad place on the grid, or exceptional dominance, or just, back marker driver getting a stunning result out of absolutely nowhere. It's Clark trying to navigate Mansell and screws it up royally. Giving Vettel a nice chance to get ahead. Contact with Clark, who doesn't lose his front wing. As Fleurs gets back through, and Mansell has really ruined it for Clark here. Oh, it's gone so badly for Clark there. Vettel now trying to lap Gasho. It's a bit unwieldy, but it worked. Yes, once again, we had quite a lot of votes. Quite a lot of spread out ones. So we got one vote for the Italian Grand Prix when Nick Heidfeld resisted his teammate Kobayashi, battling and pressuring him so much. As you can see, the back marker is really messing it up. There's actually Villeneuve here trying to go around the outside of Clark. Instead, Clark gets the position and Villeneuve is caught by Fleurs in the wrong place. But that's bad for the lead, it's gone, and Vettel's got this now unless he does something stupid. Yes, Heidfeld soaking up the pressure of his teammate in Imola was very impressive. As was Valentino Rossi's rolled and continued in Okayama. I mean, to be honest, Gasho's rolled and continued here can also go in that category. And Stefan Beloff doing a last lap pass for second at the German Grand Prix. There's another drive that garnered itself a vote. 2 votes went the way of John Watson, taking the back marker 2KF1 to a home podium for the team at Adelaide in 4th place. Not podium, but just 4th place, which is a stunning result. Really, it saved their season. Alain Prost and Dan Gurney getting brilliant results, 2nd and 4th respectively in Japan. Got 2 votes, as did Taki Inoue from 26th on the grid, finding himself in the lead legitimately in the Japanese Grand Prix, his home race. But drive of the season went to this man, Nick Heidfeld. He blast past Sterling Moss down the front straight, up into 4th place. drive of the season goes to Nick Heidfeld for his stirring recovery drive from last place at Manicourt, last place on the grid, all the way up to whatever gives 10 points, which is 6th place. Stunning drive, especially early in the season. Without stunning Moss fighting back on Heidfeld into turn 4. Moss back up into 4th. So this battle is not over yet. Yes, Heidfeld last to 6th at Manicourt takes Drive of the Season award. So well done to Nick Heidfeld. To the final corner. He's on the back of Moss, he's in the slipstream. Can you do anything about the Brit? Into the first corner. You can't really battle it side by side through there as you'd hope. And I think that explains why Moss is still ahead and why Gasher was about to unlap himself on Heidfeld. Let's go to look behind from Moss. As we go from 9 and 10, spectacular section of corners. It really is. In qualifying, they probably were flat out, but during the race, when trying to save tyres, there's a bit of a lift. As they head down the back straight. It's worth pointing out actually that 16th and 17th place, as Moss trying to lap here, Mika Hakkinen gets through with Heidfeld. 16th and 17th place is the teammates as Taki Inoue. As soon as the camera goes on and spins and has to get out the throttles, Vettel's going to lap him. His heart's just not in it. It's all gone pear-shaped. Inoue is 17th, he's got another lap down. Oh no, he's got a lap down. He's so far back. It's just gone bad to worse for Inoue. There's been some action up here between Felix da Costa and Verstappen. So into turn 1, Verstappen's thinking about a move. He's going for a move on Felix da Costa. He's got the inside line. And he just touches the curb and spins over. Felix and Hill get through. So Felix up into 6th now. But Phil Hill is right behind. He's thinking about a move into turn 4. He's not even thinking about a move, he's done the move. Contact on the exit as Felix da Costa tries to battle it through 7. He's got the inside line. Turn 8. Felix forces Phil Hill wide and da Costa is up into 6th place again. So, brilliant scrap between the pair of them. And Felix da Costa comes out on top. At the moment. Chris Hoy after the pit window has been shuffled down even further. He's now 15th. He's actually now just been lapped. I think he's stuck in 5th gear. I think he's losing all his time because he's stuck in 5th gear. Yeah, we were seeing Hamilton using 3rd through here before. Get some speed up. Is he going to go into 6th? He's not. Yep, no, Hamilton is stuck. Hoy is stuck in 5th gear. And that's what screwed him up here. He's going to be really awful at this corner, which you do not need when you're about to be lapped by the front leaders. Vettel is sat there with Inoue stuck behind him. Inoue would love to be right behind the race leader, but not a lap down on them. Back markers have allowed Clark to close the gap to Vettel back to 2 and a bit seconds, under 2 seconds actually, but there's a back marker in the way as it stands, so that'll probably disappear. Villeneuve gets past the struggling Chris Hoy. Hardfoot up to 4th with Moss now properly down in 5th. Senna gets out the way nicely. Prost and Bell off pit, having made an extra stop earlier. Hamilton makes his stop, of course, after, yes, of course, they had a crash, which explains why Hamilton was ahead of Inoue. Hoy down to 15th now, Gashoff into 14th, and Inoue's now 13th, so still not winning the championship, especially when you get sideways like that. Less than 10 laps to go in this Automobilista Grand Prix. Vettel's got a comfortable 2-second lead over Jim Clark. He was in the lead until the pit stop window. Vettel and Harvey jumped the C pop in the pit lane, and then dodgy back marker trouble has given it to Clark, to Vettel even. So I think it's worth focusing now on our final award of the day, which is going to the driver of the season. Now there are a few nominations, some of which were more left field than others. One vote went to Phil Hill and Excelsior. I'm not too sure how, but it did. We had one vote for Sterling Moss, who got first podium and first win for Red Knight, and has been a consistent surprise really. He's been up there when he needed to be, and he's had a few crashes. 4th place Nick Heidfeld. This is the season it could have been really. High Tech was super dominant at the beginning, and once Cass got their win in France and the wins kept rolling, the steamroller of Cass Grand Prix just stopped High Tech in their tracks. So Heidfeld, it was going to be his season, but it went wrong, and unfortunately just the one vote is what you're going to get. Max Verstappen got a vote, but I think that's a joke because he's been useless, as is the team, honestly. And Gilles Villeneuve also got a vote, which is a solid shout, I think. He's been decent. He's done what he could. He's kept the team going. He could have won in Germany if it weren't for some bad luck with some traffic. But taking a quarter of the votes, in third with 3 votes, to come in second place, Taki Inoue, currently second in the championship and looking like he's going to keep second in the championship. Inoue, the biggest surprise was the fact that he's been really good. Everyone expected Inoue to be crashing into everyone, but he's been a solid driver, and he's just going to miss out on the title, it seems. But it's close. But he comes second, and of course our driver of the season, looking like he's about to take the title himself. 3 wins to his name. Here's Lewis Hamilton. Just the one pole in Donington Park, but should have won in Japan if it weren't for the Phantom pit stop being slightly too early. Was kind of there or thereabouts the first few races until the podium in Italy, the win in France for Inoue, then the team started the steamroller that began with Hamilton's victory at Road America. They then got back-to-back Donington Park and Hockenheim, and it's looking like he's going to be rewarded with the title. Clark has got past Inoue. He's brought the lead down to 1.3 seconds. There's 2.5 laps to go. Unless Vettel makes a mistake, I think he's got this, but Clark isn't going to let him just have it. The championship looks like it's over, but this race isn't. Two teams looking for their first win of the season. One team looking for their first ever win in Siggy Pop. Middle sector has favoured Vettel, it would seem. 1.3 seconds. As will ride for a lap with Jim Clark as the laps tick down. 2 to go. 1.3 seconds. Hit brakes and make it through this first section. Clark's made up time. He's got up, there's 2/10 he's made up through those first 3 corners, so he can keep that up through the next sections. This could get promising. Crash through the curve braking point to 7 into turn 8. Vettel chucks up some dust, he gets a bit of a slide. Clark follows him. There is backmarker traffic, but it's going to be too far ahead for Vettel to get involved in. So barring some Adelaide style last lap squeaky bum time, Vettel is 1 lap away from his first victory of the season. As we'll follow the German around this last lap. Last lap, eyes with a yellow flag at turn 1. Who is off? It is unknown. I will skip ahead and find out who it was. I do not know. Max has been a spinner. Where is Hackman? Where is that? Might have been Kobayashi? Oh, it was Kobayashi trying to get unmatched by Fangio. Had a little bit of spin, so in fact it was not worth the effort that I just put into all that. Sebastian Vettel is going to lead us round this final lap of the season. It's goodbye to the Formula V12s. But for Harvey Racing, they're going to begin the season as they would have hoped, or they're going to end the season as they would have hoped to have done all season, on the top step. This is certainly going to help them in the constructors. They could jump Red Knight with this. They probably won't jump Siggy Pop with this. Although actually Rose Jensen, they might jump Siggy Pop with this. I don't know. It's caught up to Kobayashi. I don't think he's going to bother lapping him. But Sebastian Vettel wins the Automobilista Grand Prix for Harvey Racing. Jim Clark is 1.111 seconds behind in second place. So close, but at least he's got a podium to round off the season after so much bad luck. Gilles Villeneuve takes third, as I think that's going to be Rivera clinching second in the Constructors' Championship. Brilliant result for them. Nick Heidfeld takes fourth. Sterling Moss in fifth. Felix da Costa coming round to hold on to 6th place. Just ahead of Phil Hill and Max Verstappen. Jenson Button's going to take 9th for Harvey. Fangio in 10th. Schumacher finishing not only in 11th but on the lead lap in 11th. That is impressive for Bangalore, I've got to say. They found some pace right at the end. Gurney takes 12th. But Taki Inoue in 13th, a lap down. He tried his best, he was on pole, but contacted Nick Hagman right after his first pit stop. Ruined his championship challenge. Gasher takes 14th, Flush 15th, Brandon 16th, Veloff 17th, Prost. But here you go, 19th place, not where you want to finish. But in the championship, it is Lewis Hamilton takes the title from Max Verstappen to become the 2nd champion of Global Formula Automobilista. Cash Racing Constructors Champions, Lewis Hamilton Drivers Champion. Where will he be next year? And will it be a glorious season, or a glorious title defence, or will it be a disastrous one like Max Verstappen has had? Well, there's only one way to find out, and that's tune in next couple of weeks to the Race Department thread for the new season of Global Formula Automobilista. I hope you've enjoyed this season. I certainly have. The cars have been epic, the racing's been epic, the tracks have been good, the designs have been brilliant, the moments have been stunning. But yes, as we follow Kobayashi in 25th place, it's up to me to say thank you very much for watching once again. If you've liked this video, if you've liked this series, please chuck a like on the video, tell me that you've done that. Comment down below if you've got anything you think you want to say. If you're new to the championship, please follow the link in the thread to RaceDepartment. Obviously there's no point joining this season, but instructions will follow on how to join next season. I'd love to get as many people as we possibly can involved in the next season. We can fit 32 cars on the grid. If we go more than 32 cars, then we have some pre-qualifying. So 16 teams plus what we can have, and I'd love to have as many drivers as we can. As Kobayashi doesn't seem to want to pit, so we'll keep talking. So yes, stay tuned. The next week we will have the crash compilation video, highlighting all the mess that's happened during the season. And yeah, stay tuned in the next few weeks as we get prepared for season 3. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.